a single violation yet. And as the road cut through the broad plains, you felt the tremendous space all around you, the country rolling out to the horizon, and you rolling with it. It was beautiful, and you sort of sensed the real meaning behind the word freedom. The road, like river water, was running under you, and all the time you kept thinking, what a strange run this was, where speed was the temptress. You could see her in your mind's eye, a siren coaxing you to open the throttle, burn up the road. Actually, the landscape changes gradually, yet something new always seems to come upon you suddenly, like the stubborn, needle-pointed Joshua trees fighting the heat of the desert. All of a sudden, they were there. And they weren't the only ones fighting the heat. The boys were too, and they fought it all the way into Vegas. Now it was time to give their dry-throated selves and their low gas tanks a long drink. Then, off again to Boulder Dam. As they came into the station, some of the boys were talking about the dam, the hydroelectric setup, how it powered this part of the country. Frankly, they knew more about it than I did. And I realized there were many more valuable things happening on this run than even we had bargained for. It became a kind of educational adventure, stimulated the searching minds of these kids. And they were looking forward anxiously to seeing the giant dam, one of the genuinely great achievements of man. It took a lot of driving finesse to get away smooth without wasting gas. A stoplight was like a dragon. You had to move by it on cat's feet. And the password was, slow and easy, Jack. No showman could have designed the approach to the dam any better for suspense. It was terrific. The tortuous road dropped down like a roller coaster. Came around a power line turn, and there it was, the huge concrete colossus, a wonderful tribute to the ingenuity, the cooperation, the bold, creative daring of man in his struggle to control the forces of nature. I got out of my car here, shook the road kinks out of my legs, and watched the tortoise-like machines circling around. The atmosphere of the dam was awe-inspiring. It kind of took hold of you for a few moments and hushed your thoughts. The desert air felt good, too. It was soft and warm and dry. I closed my eyes for a second, and I could hear the sound of the tires moving over the loose gravel. For a moment in my darkness, I could see the wide eyes of the boys. You know, a strange thought occurred to me. These weren't merely individual cars turning here, but each car seemed to me to belong to a long line. Each car was like a new generation coming up the slope, making their contribution to society and departing. Progress. The word came upon me suddenly. Progress in the American tradition of this great monument to man. Now it was back to Vegas, to the impound, and of course to Ralph De Palma, a really great guy with a genuine love for boys, standing there, bare-chested with the road dust billowing up around him. Boy and the road, both were in his blood. Here we were at the end of the first day's journey, and a wonderful, friendly feeling was in the dust-stirred air of this little impound. Here, too, the boys from the Las Vegas car clubs had come down to play host and to hear all about the youth run. After I got a first-hand report from Jim, the drivers got their briefing. No drinking, no gambling, in the sack by 11, and again, no glass cage. After dinner, they'd be on their own. Well, I've been to a few fancy parties and social events in my time, but I can't ever remember enjoying myself as much as I did having dinner that evening with these boys in the Desert Inn. That evening spoke for itself. It was all there in our faces. After dinner, the boys from the Las Vegas car clubs picked up the boys on the youth run and showed them their town. I felt mighty proud that night. Officer and boy had hit the real jackpot. No violation on the road, no unfortunate incidents at Vegas. And early the next morning, we were off on the run again, against the background splendor of the desert dawn. The sun itself, almost as if it had heard of our youth run, came up beautifully. A huge shadow stretched over the broad plain as we settled down to the long run. This time we were running all the way home with only a quick refueling at Barstow. As I checked the cars on the road, the excitement began to sneak up on me. I knew what it must be doing to the drivers in the run. The nerve tension was a graph. You could read its mounting intensity in the tight-drawn lines of the faces behind the wheels. In the face of Malalka moving through the Joshua trees. In the face of Danny Waskren rolling past the power lines. And in the face of the Pryton's driver, Bob Lewis, running through the sagebrush. In the face of Phil Schiffenbacher, listening to the approaching train. In the face of the cutouts, Gary Simpson, heading for the Barstow Bridge. The Barstow refueling station was practically empty. This time, there was no respite here. The boys were in and out again in a matter of minutes, off on the last leg of the two-day run. No rest at Barstow, and now we were running home. And the nerve tension graph that you could read on the faces behind the wheels was running too, and running high. The stress climbing in the face of the Domino's driver, Bill Meacham. in the Clockers driver, Jack Long. And in the face of the Wise Men's Frank Jimenez. Each one sweating out the other right to the finish, where Ralph De Palma was sweating them out too, flagging them home. There wouldn't be any decision as to the winner until the official tabulation sheets were in. And the winner would be announced at a special awards presentation meeting of the Peace Officers Car Club Association later. But the boys in the car clubs were all on hand to welcome home their buddies. You could get an idea of how you did from the number of gallons of gas that you used. So the tension hung on. The drivers were watching the pumps as though they were scoreboards. The way I figured it, this was one race that no one lost, because we won a better understanding between officer and boy. The run was over. The trophies were presented by the mayor of Linwood and Ralph De Palma. Third place winner, Jerry Maxwell from the Idlers Car Club, City of Bell, 47 ton-miles per gallon. Second place winner, Danny Waskren from the Drag Wagons Car Club, City of Maywood, 51.5 ton-miles per gallon. And the first place winner, Phil Schiffenbacher from the Rod Benders, City of Pasadena, 55 ton-miles per gallon. As Phil took the trophy, I could see his face as I had seen it on the road. And behind that face, the story of the first youth run, the simple story of boy, officer, and road.